Hello. Hello, hello. Good deal. Good afternoon. Hi, Butch. So, hey guys, this is Chris. Of course, I'll start with Chris. You can see behind me a reliability ranking chart when it comes to used cars. And the most reliable, based on reliability for 5 to 10 years, so car 2015, 2020, okay. Of course, you can see Japanese. Buick, interesting because it's a Opel, most of them. If you're not familiar with Opel, that's from Europe. And then you have Volvo, Nissan, Subaru. I would have expected Subaru to be higher than this. Cadillac, good job. Good job, GM, General Motors with the Buick here and then the Cadillac here. Benz 11, BMW 12, Lincoln, Audi in 14th, Tesla in 15th. Oh no, Tesla! Tesla is no good. It's even worse than an Audi. Pooh. Okay, what else we have here? So Volkswagen, of course, 16, Chevy itself, 17, and on Dodge, Ford, Ford, found on the road dead, fix or repair daily. Did I just say that? Yeah, I said it out loud. I'll repeat it. Ford, fix or repair daily, found on the road dead. And then Kia, no surprise. GMC, kind of a surprise because Cadillac is all the way here. That's interesting. Okay, and then you have Stellantis at the bottom here with Hyundai. And then Mini. That's Mini here in 23. Hi, Bob. So that's really interesting because if you're in sales, if you are on the lot, if you're selling used cars, or if you are a big dealership and you have used car on your lot, that's a pretty interesting chart to have. Remember, 5 to 10 years old cars, okay? Lexus on top, Toyota, then you have Mazda, which is cool. I like Mazda a lot. Honda, Acura, okay? So those are staples. I guess you have that on your lot. It's gonna sell, right? That's a given. Buick is very interesting. Well, although they don't have a massive production, it's not like they sell as many vehicles as Lexus or Toyota does. But that's good to know. That's good to know. So after that, you have the Germans. So you know, I don't know if you know, guys, but I'll tell you. I worked for Audi of America for quite a while, and I've been to Germany. I went to Germany. I went to the factories in Germany, Ingolstadt, and then the Kassalum, and I met German engineers. And back in my days, so early 2000, when we were selling Audis, Audi right here would be right down here, pretty much last. So I asked an engineer one day, I'm like, why is it that Toyota and Lexus are always on top of reliability and then the German are always at the bottom, especially Audi? And that's the explanation I get. So check this out. So when did Audi started to make cars? Well, August Horch, the founder of Audi, did that in 1889. Okay. So quite a while, but things happened, blah blah blah. Long story short, they created Audi. Audi made really their first car in 1909. Okay. Mercedes-Benz started with Daimler in the 19th century also. Okay. When did Toyota start to make cars? Well, they started to make cars in 1948, roughly, after World War II, right? So did BMW. Before World War II, BMW was making engines. They made a lot of engines for the Third Reich equipment, tank, airplanes, and so on and so forth. The Focke-Wulf 190 has a BMW radial engine. And so they started to make vehicles. They were making motorcycles, but they started to make vehicles after World War II. Okay. Of course, Lexus 1989, Honda around after World War II, something I can remember, it's like 48, 52, something like that. And of course, everybody is making their own cars at their own places, right? And the first German car manufacturer to come to the US was Daimler-Benz, and I think that was 1929, so before World War II, pretty impressive. Some guy in New York decided to import Mercedes-Benz. So fast forward to the gas crisis in the US and in the world in the 1973 was the first gas crisis, the petrol embargo and stuff. And then 1976, there was a second one. And so now Americans are like crying for smaller cars with smaller engine. In the 70s, every American car has some like kind of big V8 on it, a 350, a 429, so it's big cubic inches engine, big V8. And so the Japanese, they decide to bring their little cars to the US. And that works. A lot of people are buying small cars, small engines, great on gas mileage. The original Honda Civic, not being a hybrid, that thing you can get 40 miles a gallon with it if you can find a 1970-something Honda Civic, which is impressive, right? No hybrid drivetrain, no, just little gas engine, very light vehicle, weighs nothing, and you get 40 miles a gallon. So the thing that really differentiated the German engineers and the Japanese engineer is that the German engineers have always been making cars for the world. Europe first, the US, and then when they started to go to China became a huge market for the Germans. And the Chinese were expecting German cars, which is not the case anymore today. Because their sales are like dying. I'm talking about the three legacy German car manufacturers. And so the German engineers, the German manufacturers, the car, it is the same for everybody. Okay, and Germans love to engineer. They engineer everything. FYI, if you're in Texas, check this out, guys. If you're in Texas and you work, if you're anywhere in the country and you're wearing cowboy boots, just want to let you know that the inventor of the cowboy boots is actually a German shoemaker, okay? If you want to know more about that story, let me know. So Germans are engineers. So they're always pushing the envelope. That's what they do. They love to engineer stuff and improve. Even if the system works well, what can I do to make it lighter, to make it faster, to make it thinner, to make it stronger, or whatever. They're always thinking. And then they sell that product all over the world. The Japanese up there, especially those guys here, Toyota, they took a smarter approach. I think it's a smarter approach when you come to the US market. And Lexus did it after that in 1989. I'll tell you the story of Lexus in a second, so you probably want to stay tuned. So Toyota decides to come to the US market. And they realize that first they don't know anything about the US market. So they study the US market. So let me ask you this, again, in the 70s, what is everybody driving, 60s, 70s, what is everybody driving in the US? Big V8, okay? Those big V8s, they have like 200 horsepower, 300 pound-feet of torque. If you look like a 1972, 1974 Pontiac Trans Am, SHO 455. It's 230 horsepower, right? And 300 and something pound-feet of torque. So by a four-cylinder today does that. So anyway, they realized that The Americans with those big V8s, you don't do the oil change every year, the car doesn't care. That engine is still running, okay? So those big V8s that the Americans are driving are very low maintenance, okay? So the Japanese confirmed that Americans are not good at taking care of their cars. So they don't want to bring something that is German, that is high maintenance, because everybody's going to complain about it. So the engineering model of the Japanese brand is keep it simple, stupid. Okay? So you can take a Toyota Camry. I don't know about the 2026 year model because it's like a hybrid drivetrain, blah, 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 whatever. But you can take a Camry since the Camry has existed. You can drive that car 2 years without changing the oil. That engine doesn't care. That Camry is still running. That's what makes that Camry such a popular car. Same thing for the Corolla. Nothing happens to those cars. They just keep on driving. Okay? Even if you lack maintenance. Okay? So, on the engineering standpoint, two diametrical views. I'm going to over-engineer my vehicles and I'm going to sell them all over the world. That's the German approach. I'm going to keep it simple, stupid, because I'm targeting the US market. And it will work well on developing market and emerging market because you want something that is readable and easy to fix. And so there goes your difference when you're looking at this here, right? All the Japanese here, and then the European, at least a little bit in the middle. Stellantis at the bottom, but Stellantis has so many problems, they don't even know where to start, okay? So this is really something when, I'm not telling you use that as an excuse when you are selling used cars and you own the lot and you're trying to move a German car. You know, maybe don't try to use that as an excuse, but at least if you're knowledgeable about it, right? You can explain this, right? Kia and Hyundai, they just have problems. Which is weird because Hyundai has so much money. They could do much better than what they're doing. Hyundai is a very, very powerful consortium, in case you didn't know. I don't like electric cars to a certain extent. They have too many issues other than the vehicle itself. But to see Tesla here, I've been saying for 10 years that Tesla is a piece of crap. And everybody's like, oh, no, but Tesla, and it's $70,000, blah, blah, blah. Your Tesla is a piece of crap, okay? Because it's electric. It doesn't even have an engine. It doesn't even have a transmission. See, those are complicated engines and transmission, complicated engine and transmissions, complicated suspensions, a lot of parts, a lot of 5-link suspension in the front, in the rear, a lot of moving parts. To find the German in that area, actually not a surprise. And not bad because they are not here in the bottom, okay? But here, no engine, no transmission. It's a software on wheels, okay? So to find people saying that, to find a survey that put Tesla in the middle here makes me kind of happy. Sorry. I hate to say it, but it makes me happy. Okay. So again, if you're in sales, those are used cars, 5 to 10 years old. Okay, and that's the reliability survey. Yeah, you can most used car brands in 2025 based on the reliability of 5 to 10 years old models. Okay, and so some surprises, right? I would have expected Subaru to be a little bit better, kind of like where Buick is. So Buick is definitely a surprise here. But again, it's most of those Buick are Opels and they're from Europe, so no surprise there. Okay, I think that's Nissan here. So I was reading about Nissan, and they are trying to cut expenses everywhere they can. And one of the employees at Nissan noticed that they had like 10 different type of headrest in the cars, and they figure out that a good way of saving money would be to have most of the headrest in most of the cars the same. It's a pretty nice idea, actually. It's pretty brilliant, right? You save a lot on R&D, manufacturing with supplier and everything. So kind of like a good idea, actually. It's quite interesting, okay? So as Lexus, okay, so Lexus 1989, Toyota decided to bring a luxury brand, or entry luxury brand at the time, to the US. Okay, so what did they do? Well, same thing. They studied the US market, what people driving, what were their driving habits, their maintenance habits. So they had already the data from Toyota. Make a car that's easy. Just recycle the same technology over and over. Okay, we've seen with a few new engines and new technology that Toyota introduced on the market in the past 2-3 years. When they introduce something new, they are on the same level as everybody else. They have initial quality problems, too dry engines, and all kind of things. So I don't want to bash on Toyota. That's not the point of this. So Lexus decides, we're gonna keep it simple, stupid, and so they applied the exact same methodology. We're gonna take a Toyota, we're gonna reskin it, we're gonna put leather seats, we're gonna put a nice interior, but the engine, transmission, high dyne, suspensions, simple. And then they studied Jaguar, they studied somebody else, I can't remember. They studied 2-3 brands and the owners, and then the customer service that they were receiving, and they say, you know what, we're not gonna focus on the product that much, excuse my dogs, and they're gonna focus on the customer service. Okay, so even if you cut the back, I've seen it, even back in the days, and you're talking 2004 or 5, at a Lexus dealer, someone obviously cut the back seat on that LS by accident with a knife or something, but it was not a tear, it was not at the stitches, and service advisor said, don't worry, we'll get that fixed for you, no charge. Was it a warranty item? Heck no, no warranty item. But the customer service is better than anything else. So you take care of the customer, they come back, they buy a new vehicle, so on and so forth, right? You in sales, you sell the first car. The guys in service back there, they sell the second, the third, the fourth, because they take care of the first one, okay? If you don't know that, go make friends with your service advisor and your service manager if you're in sales, because this is how you make more money. And you'll close a lot easier. How do I know? I know because I started to sell Audis in 2003. I want to say in 2005, something like that. 2004, 2005, I can't remember. 2005, I think. At the same store, I became a service advisor. I went to help service. One of the service advisors just disappeared one day. And so the shop manager was like, please come help us be a service advisor. So I was a service advisor. It was supposed to last 3 months. It lasted like 8 or 9. I got tired of getting yelled at because Audis back in the early 2000s were built in the 90s. And I can tell you, this would have been all the way here in the last 3 spots. Okay, they were just horrible. The C3, the B5, C3 is Allier 6, B5 is Allier A4, if you're not familiar with nomenclature for Audi. And so, interestingly enough, I'm getting yelled at all the time, right? So I went back to sales, and one day I have one of my service customers coming in, and so it had to be 2006 because he came in 2007 to buy a B7 Cabriolet, A4 Cabriolet, 3 liter, 3.2 liter, that was replacing the B6 that had the 3-liter. And then at that point, they had already like a navigation available. So that was a big change. And so we're taking his A4 Cabriolet 3-liter in trade. It's not worth much. I hit him with, I think at the time, a $700 payment when you could probably get away with a 5 something at the time. But we just packed it. And I remember being in the finance office with him. He's looking at me and he's like, Chris, is it the best that can be done on this specific vehicle I'm buying? And I look at him like, did I not take care of you when you brought your car to service? And he's like, yeah, what am I thinking? And then he signed. Okay. So the importance of the service department and the service advisor job to create that confidence, not only in them, but in the store and the brand and the quality of the service that's going to be provided, will sell the second and the third car, and certainly, without a doubt, even at a higher payment. Okay, so again, for the ones joining, we're looking the most reliable used car brand in 2025, reliability of 5 to 10 year model. So interestingly enough, of course, you could have bet that it's Japanese. So you have Lexus, Toyota, Mazda, Honda, Acura. Then you have Buick, which is really interesting to see Buick here, but most of the Buick are European cars. They are Opel. And then you have Volvo here, which is kind of interesting. And then you have Nissan, and then you have Subaru. I would have thought Subaru will be higher, maybe like where Buick is. Good job, Cadillac, and closing up the top 10. Then you have Benz, Beamer, Lincoln. Interesting, because look at where Ford is. Ford is towards the bottom. It barely does better than Kia. Kia and then Ford. And so that's pretty crazy to see Ford down there, but you know the saying, found on the road dead or fix or repair daily, so no surprise. What's surprising is to see Lincoln about 6th place above it, which is kind of interesting. Okay. And then they have the German, pretty tight, packed, 12, 14, 16. And so I talked about the engineering on the German car and why it is like this. Volkswagen, not bad. I would have expected Volkswagen to be more here where Hyundai is. So I'm pleasantly surprised to see that Volkswagen is actually doing better than Kia and Hyundai. Surprising that GMC is here because you have Cadillac here. So why are the GMC not as good as the Cadillac? It's the same shit. Oops, excuse my French. I'm from France, so that's okay. So yeah, looking at this chart, if you're in sales, this is Chrysler here. Oopsie. This is Dodge, and then Dodge, and then Jeep. So the last three are Stellantis. And then you have Ram here. Okay, so Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, all under the bottom. But the last 3 are all Stellantis. And Stellantis, they do have their own issues, don't they? Somebody sent me a message. How do I see the message? Okay. I don't know. I just saw that someone sent me a message, but I can't see the message. So anyway, that's if you're selling Stellantis product, I don't know what to tell you guys. Hang in there, I guess. I mean, the Stellantis brand in the US are the one that has the longest days of supply in inventory, so that's already bad. And then the pre-owned they are not reliable. That's a compounding effect. So if you work at a Dodge, a Ram, a Chrysler store, I'm really sorry for you guys. Just, you know, keep your head down and do what you can. Don't think that the grass is always greener next door. If you're in sales, I'm going to give you a massive advice. So you want to listen to this. First, the grass is not greener next door, even if it's a different brand. Why? Because you don't quit the brand and you don't quit the product, you quit the manager. So if you're struggling because you're at a Dodge store or a Ram store and you're not selling the pre-owned because they are not reliable and people know about it, or they are too expensive, and then the new one are too expensive and everybody knows that they are not reliable, you're like, oh, I'm going to go sell one of those here, which is tempting, right? But here, you may have a really nice manager that takes care of you, or a good management team, and you're gonna move to one of those, and then you're gonna have some crappy manager, and then you're gonna quit there, okay? And I know because I made that mistake, okay? You're attracted by a nice offer and the money, and then you realize you just lost a great manager, and now you have to deal with some idiot that's making your life miserable and knows nothing about selling cars. So don't despair. Stellantis is doing the best they can to fix the ship and put the ship in the right direction. So with the wind behind instead of facing the wind all the time. Okay. So interesting. I wanted to see also Mini here, which is basically a Beamer, but I guess with British quality. Anyway, I joke, I kid. Okay. So if you're a used car manager, this is something to know. You should know this if you're a used car manager. If you own a pre-owned lot, you should know this, okay? Because this is going to influence your customer satisfaction. This is going to influence your profit, okay? So if you're a used car manager, or if you own or manage a used car lot, you should know this, and you should check it on a regular basis, okay? So yeah, that's a pretty interesting chart, right? I don't know. What do you think? Is it accurate? Does it seem fair? I mean, Chrysler and Jeep and Dodge at the bottom, to me, that sounds pretty accurate. But you know, you guys have to tell me those things, what you experience on the floor, what you experience at the store. This cracks me up, really. I mean, I know it's right underneath Audi, and I'm an Audi guy, so I'm like, that kind of sucks. But Tesla being mid-pack like this makes me happy, because it's not a luxury car, and it doesn't have an engine, it doesn't have a transmission, so it should be all the way up here, but people think it's crappy, and I agree, a Tesla is a crappy product. So if you're selling Teslas and you're watching this, I'm sorry. Or if you're a big fan of Tesla, I'm sorry, Tesla is a piece of crap. And that's just that. Right? That's just that. And it's an electric car anyway, so I'm not really fond of electric cars to start with. Because the damage they do to the environment, but I guess that's a discussion for another time, okay? So we have a luxury brand, a non-luxury, aspiring luxury. I think Mazda is aspiring to become a luxury brand, but they also have a lot of Toyota underpinning right now, so that's good for Mazda. I don't think Mazda has always been up there. So that's great. Honda, Acura. So somebody that's not there, because they have Nissan, but I guess Infiniti is not selling enough cars because they are not even there. Okay, so notables, high notables, Lexus on top. The first German is Benz. The first American is Buick, which is really interesting. Tesla is mid-pack. Tesla is barely better than Volkswagen. So I think it's good for Volkswagen. It's bad for Tesla. And then weird to see GMC here, considering Cadillac is here and that Chevrolet is here. So whatever. And so, yeah, that's... this is a very interesting chart, and I repeat, if you are selling used cars, if you are a used car manager or used car buyer, if you have or own or manage a used car lot, you need to know that chart because that's gonna influence your profit and how long cars are staying on the lot. All right. So that was that for my live today, and I hope that it was helpful to anyone out there, and if it was, that's cool, and if not, I'll come back tomorrow and we'll talk about something else. Thank you all. Remember to give me a follow, please. Watch my videos if you're in sales. I'm sure you'll learn a couple of things. Not that I'm too confident about what I'm saying, right? But joke aside, please watch my video, give me a follow, and give me a few likes. I'll appreciate it. And if you're in sales, happy selling.